Admiral Jack Nelson was about to end his shift when the alert came in. The large screen at the front of Earth Command Center suddenly flashed red. Everyone in the room went silent. "Sir, we have a distress signal from Commander Hayes," said Lieutenant. Susan Miller, her fingers moving quickly over her console. Nelson walked to her station, his face serious. "Show me." The screen displayed a simple message. "Commander Olivia Hayes, ID, ES7742, status, captured. Last coordinates, Kepler 438b. Nelson's jaw tightened. Commander Hayes was one of their best explorers. She was also the first human to encounter the mysterious Zanari, a species Earth had only heard rumors about from their alien allies. "Track that signal," Nelson ordered. "I want to know where they're taking her." "Already on it, sir," Susan replied. "The quantum tracker in her implant is still active. The ship is heading toward the Cygnus arm." Nelson nodded and pressed a button on his uniform. "This is Admiral Nelson. I need the Joint Chiefs in the war room immediately. We have a situation." Within 20 minutes, 6 men and women in military uniforms sat around a large table. Maps and data filled the screens on the walls. "Commander Hayes has been captured by what we believe is the Zanari Imperium," Nelson explained. "Until now, we've never had direct contact with them, but our intelligence suggests they're a powerful and secretive species." General Kate Wilson leaned forward. "Do they know about our military capabilities?" "We don't think so," Nelson replied. "For the past 50 years, we've been careful to appear less advanced than we actually are. All explorer ships like the Artemis are designed to look primitive to outside scans. So, the Zanari think they've captured a lone explorer with basic technology," said General Wilson. "They have no idea what we're capable of." Nelson nodded and pressed another button on the table. A holographic map appeared, showing hundreds of small dots spread across space. "This is Operation Scattered Thunder," he said. "Our hidden fleet has been preparing for a first contact situation gone wrong. Ships disguised as mining operations, research stations, even asteroids, all fully armed and ready." Air Force General Doug Peters studied the map. "How quickly can we mobilize?" "The 12th Armada can be ready in 4 hours," Nelson replied. "They're based in the Saturn shipyards? And the rescue team?" asked General Wilson. Nelson touched his screen again. The image changed to show a smaller, faster-looking ship. "The Nighthawk is our best stealth vessel. Commander Diane Rodriguez and her team are already boarding." Far away from Earth, in the orbit of Saturn, a section of what looked like an ordinary moon began to change. Metal panels slid away, revealing a hidden dock. Inside, dozens of ships powered up their engines. They had been waiting for years. Hidden from prying eyes, Commander Diane Rodriguez walked through the corridors of the Nighthawk, checking in with her team. They were the best soldiers Earth had trained for space rescue missions in alien territory. "Listen up," she said as her team gathered in the main room. "One of our own has been taken. Commander Hayes was captured while exploring Kepler 438b. Our mission is to get her back." She touched a screen on the wall, showing an image of a thin, gray alien with 4 arms. "This is what we think the Zanari look like, based on reports from our allies. They're technologically advanced, but they don't know about our recent breakthroughs." Lieutenant Ben Garcia raised his hand. "What about weapons?" "Non-lethal only," Rodriguez replied firmly. "This is a rescue mission, not a war. We want to get Hayes out without starting a galactic conflict." She showed them more images, the layout of a typical Zanari ship, their writing system, and their known technology. "They pride themselves on their advanced senses," Rodriguez continued. "But our new stealth suits should hide us from their scans. We'll be ghosts." On the other side of the solar system, Olivia Hayes woke up in a small clear cell. Her head hurt and her mouth felt dry. She sat up slowly, trying to remember what had happened. The walls of her cell seemed to be made of some kind of clear material, stronger than glass. Outside, she could see Zanari aliens moving around a large room filled with strange equipment. They were taller than humans, with thin bodies and 4 arms. Their skin was gray, and their large eyes were completely black. One of the aliens noticed. She was awake and approached the cell. A panel on its armor glowed, and suddenly Olivia could understand its words. "The human is conscious," it said to another alien. "Inform the commander." A few minutes later, a larger Zanari with more decorated armor entered the room. It stood in front of Olivia's cell, studying her. "I am Vexar, commander of this vessel," it said. "You will answer our questions about Earth's defenses." Olivia stood up, trying to look stronger than she felt. "I'm a scientific explorer. I don't have information about military matters." The alien made a clicking sound. "All human explorers receive basic military training, and your neural patterns indicate you know more than you claim." Olivia felt a chill. They had been scanning her brain while she slept. She needed to be careful about what she thought about. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "To our main research base," Vexar replied. "There we will learn everything about your species. The Zanari Council has decided that humans are expanding too quickly. We need to understand your capabilities before you become a threat." Olivia thought quickly. She needed to buy time. Earth would be looking for her, but they would need to know where to search. "I'll tell you what I know," she said, trying to sound defeated, "but I need water and food first. Human bodies are fragile." Vexar seemed pleased by her cooperation. "You are wise to collaborate. The process will be less painful this way." As the alien walked away to arrange for her needs, Olivia touched the small scar near her collarbone. Beneath it was her quantum tracker. As long as it remained active, Earth could follow her. She just needed to stay alive and alert until help arrived. Back at Earth Command, Admiral Nelson watched as the first ships of the 12th Armada moved into position. On the large screen, a small dot showed the location of the Zanari ship carrying Olivia. "They're heading exactly where we predicted," he said to General Wilson. "Their main base in the Cygnus sector? Rodriguez and her team?" Wilson asked. "Already on their way," Nelson replied. "And the Zanari have no idea they're being followed. The rescue mission had begun." Earth was mobilizing silently and effectively. The Zanari believed they had captured a helpless explorer, but they were about to learn how wrong they were. Lieutenant Steve Morgan checked his stealth suit one last time. The dark material absorbed light rather than reflected it, making him almost invisible in the dim lighting of the Nighthawk's cargo bay. Around him, 5 other soldiers did the same. They were Earth's best infiltration team, and they had never failed a mission. 5 minutes to drop point," Commander Rodriguez's voice announced over the speaker. "Final equipment check." Steve tested his mask's oxygen supply and communication system. Everything worked perfectly. The mask would not only help him breathe in alien environments, but also filter out any gases the Zanari might use. "Remember," Rodriguez said as she entered, "the cargo bay. Our intel on the Zanari base comes from long-range scans. We know the general layout, but expect surprises. The Zanari have technology we haven't seen before." Steve nodded. "What about their security systems?" "Their sensors detect heat, movement, and certain brainwave patterns," Rodriguez explained. "Your suits should mask all 3. As long as you move carefully and follow the plan, they won't know you're there." The Nighthawk was approaching the asteroid field where the Zanari had their hidden base. The ship's special hull absorbed scanner signals, making it nearly invisible to detection. It was the most advanced stealth technology Earth had, developed secretly over decades. "Our primary goal is extraction," Rodriguez reminded them. "Get Commander Hayes out safely. The secondary goal is to gather intelligence on Zanari capabilities. But if you have to choose, prioritize Hayes." The ship slowed as it entered the asteroid field. Through the small window, Steve could see hundreds of rocky bodies floating in space. Among them was one larger asteroid that didn't move quite like the others. That was the Zanari base. "Ready for drop," the pilot announced. "We're in position." Rodriguez looked at each team member in turn. "Good luck. Earth is counting on you." Steve and his team entered the small pod that would take them to the Zanari base. Unlike normal space vehicles, this pod had no engines. It would drift silently toward the base, looking like just another small asteroid dot as the pod released from the Nighthawk. Steve felt the familiar weightlessness of space. The pod would take 30 minutes to reach the base. He used this time to review the mission in his mind. Inside the Zanari base, Olivia Hayes sat quietly in her cell. 3 days had passed since her capture. Each day, the aliens took her to a room filled with strange machines. They asked her questions about Earth, its defenses, its technology. Following her training, she gave them small pieces of true information mixed with carefully planned lies. "Your planet has 7 continents," Vexar said during the latest session. "Yet your people have no unified government. How do you defend yourselves without central coordination?" "Each region has its own small defense force," Olivia replied, sounding tired and defeated. "We have no single military command." The Zanari seemed pleased with this information. Olivia knew they were building a picture of Earth as a divided, disorganized planet. This was exactly what Earth wanted potential enemies to believe. What the Zanari didn't know was that Earth had united its military forces 50 years ago after their first contact with alien life. While keeping the appearance of separate nations and governments, humans had secretly built a powerful, unified space force. "Your ship's database shows you have explored only 27 star systems," Vexar continued. "Is this correct?" "Yes," Olivia lied. "Earth had actually explored over 200 systems but kept most of them secret?" "We are still new to space travel." After each session, the aliens returned her to her cell. They gave her food and water. That was safe for humans to consume. They needed her alive and able to answer questions. This gave Olivia hope. As long as they thought she had more useful information, they wouldn't harm her. Back in her cell, Olivia noticed something odd. The usual guard was not at his post. Instead, a different Zanari stood there, looking nervous. The aliens were hard to read, but she had learned to notice small changes in their posture and movements. Something was happening. Had Earth found her already? Outside the asteroid base, Steve's pod drifted closer to its target. The Zanari had disguised their base well, but up close, he could see small openings that must be docking bays for their ships. Approaching entry. "Point," Steve whispered into his communication device. No signs of detection. The pod's sensors identified a small maintenance hatch. This would be their way in. As they got closer, Steve prepared the special tool they would use to open the hatch without triggering alarms. "Be ready," he told his team. "Once we're inside, we move fast." 20 minutes to reach the detention area. 10 minutes to free Hayes. 20 minutes to get back to the extraction point. The pod touched the surface of the asteroid with barely a sound. Magnetic clamps engaged, holding it in place. Steve activated the cutting tool, which used a thin beam of energy to slice through the metal around the hatch. The technology was designed to match the energy signature of Zanari tools, so it wouldn't register as foreign to their systems. Inside the base, alarms suddenly blared. Olivia jumped to her feet. Had they detected the rescue team? Vexar rushed into the room, followed by several guards. "Take the human to the inner chamber," he ordered. "We have an intruder alert." As guards opened her cell, Olivia felt both hope and fear. Was Earth here to rescue her, or was it something else? The guards took her down a long corridor she hadn't seen before. They moved quickly, clearly concerned about something. Olivia tried to memorize the path, noting each turn and door. If she got a chance to escape, this information would be valuable. They entered a large room with many screens showing different parts of the base. On one screen, Olivia saw a Zanari ship approaching. It appeared damaged, with smoke coming from one side. "The patrol vessel was attacked," a Zanari officer reported. "They say a human ship fired on them without warning." Vexar made an angry clicking sound. "Impossible. Human ships don't venture this far. Their weapons are not advanced enough to damage our vessels." Olivia hid a smile. This was Earth's plan. Create a distraction with one ship while the rescue team sneaked in another way. Classic military strategy. At the moment, Steve and his team were moving silently through the maintenance tunnels of the base. Their suits kept them invisible to Zanari sensors. They had the base layout in their visors, with a blinking dot showing where Olivia's tracker signal was coming from. She's moving, Steve whispered. They're taking her deeper into the base. Follow her signal, Rodriguez replied through the communication link. The diversion is working. Most of the Zanari forces are heading to the main docking bay. Steve nodded to his team. They were close now. Earth was about to show the Zanari a truth they never expected. Humans take care of their own. No matter the distance, no matter the enemy, the rescue was underway. And the Zanari still had no idea how much danger they were really in. Captain Lavaubarn stood on the bridge of the destroyer Valiant, watching the stars through the large front window. Her ship was at the edge of Zanari space, engines running at full power. Every scanner and detection system on the ship was active, broadcasting their presence as loudly as possible. All weapon systems online, reported her second-in-command, Sam Wells. We're lighting up every Zanari scanner within 50 light-years, Lavar nodded. Perfect. How long until they respond? Based on their patrol patterns, we should see Zanari. Ships in about 10 minutes, Sam replied. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. The Valiant had to appear threatening enough to draw Zanari forces away from their base, but not so threatening that they would immediately destroy the human ship. It was a delicate balance. Lavra opened a channel to the engine room. Kyle, I need maximum power to the shields. Make it look like we're preparing for a major battle? Yes, Captain, came the reply. Diverting power now. On the screens around the bridge, small dots appeared, moving quickly toward the Valiants. Position. The Zanari were taking the bait. 6 Zanari cruisers approaching, Sam announced. They'll be in weapons range in 5 minutes, Lavar smiled. Right on schedule. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Remember, we need to keep their attention for at least 30 minutes. Far away from the Valiant, 3 Earth quantum submarines materialized. Inside the Zanari defense perimeter, these special vessels could partially shift out of normal spacetime for short periods, making them completely undetectable. It was Earth's most secret technology, developed after years of studying alien physics. Commander Rodriguez watched from the lead submarine as Steve and his team infiltrated the Zanari base. On her screen, she could see their progress through the base's maintenance tunnels. Team leader, report status, she said quietly. We're approaching Section 7, Steve replied through the secure channel. Haze signal is coming from a large chamber ahead. Security is heavy. Rodriguez checked the base schematics. There should be an access panel in the ceiling about 20 meters from your position. It will put you directly above the chamber. Copy that, Steve said, moving into position now. Inside the Zanari base, Olivia watched as the aliens rushed around the command center. The screens showed their ships moving to intercept the Valiant. Vexar seemed increasingly agitated. The human vessel is not retreating, reported a Zanari officer. They are maintaining position and have activated weapons systems. This makes no sense, Vexar said. Their ship cannot hope to defeat 6 of our cruisers. What are they planning? Olivia kept her face neutral, but inside she felt a surge of hope. Earth's military was executing a classic diversion tactic. While the Valiant kept the Zanari occupied, the real rescue operation would be happening elsewhere. Vexar turned to Olivia suddenly. Your people have sent a ship. Why would they do this when they must know it cannot succeed? Olivia shrugged. I told you, Earth has no unified command. Probably some regional commander acting on their own. Our leaders don't always communicate with each other. The Zanari commander studied her face closely. You are hiding something. Your heart rate increased when you saw our ships moving to intercept. Olivia needed to be careful. The Zanari were monitoring her vital signs. She thought quickly. Of course I'm excited, she said. That ship might be from my home region. They could be trying to rescue me, even if it's hopeless. It gives me hope. This was partly true, which made it more believable. Vexar seemed satisfied with her answer. A pointless gesture, the alien said. The ship will be destroyed or captured. Then we will have more humans to question. Above the command center, Steve and his team had reached the access panel. Through a small viewing port, they could see Olivia standing near a tall Zanari who appeared to be the leader. 5 guards were in the room, all armed. I count 6 targets plus haze, Steve whispered to his team. Remember, stun weapons only. We want no casualties. The team checked their weapons. Each carried a special stun gun that fired an electromagnetic pulse. The pulse would temporarily disable Zanari neural systems without causing permanent damage. It was specifically designed based on what Earth knew about Zanari biology. On my mark, Steve said. 3, 2, 1. In one smooth motion, the team removed the access panel and dropped into the room. Before the Zanari could react, 4 guards were hit by stun pulses and collapsed. The 5th guard managed to raise his weapon, but Steve was faster, firing a pulse that dropped the alien instantly. Vexor spun around, reaching for a control panel on the wall. Olivia, seeing her chance, grabbed a metal object from a nearby table and swung it at the Zanari commander's arm. The blow connected, and Vexor stumbled backward. "Commander Hayes," Steve called, "time to go home." Olivia felt a rush of relief as she recognized the Earth Special Forces uniform. "You're 4 hours ahead of schedule," she said with a tired smile. "Earth doesn't leave its people behind," Steve replied, tossing her a spare mask and stealth suit. "Put these on quickly. We have 14 minutes to reach the extraction point." As Olivia slipped into the stealth suit, Vexor began to recover from the stunning blow. The Zanari commander looked at the humans with new understanding and fear. "You are not what you appear to be," Vexor said. "Your technology. It should not be possible?" Steve fired another stun pulse and Vexor slumped to the floor. "Let's move," he ordered his team. "The diversion won't last much longer." They moved quickly through the corridors of the base, their stealth suits keeping them hidden from sensors. Olivia followed closely, amazed at how easily they navigated the complex. Earth had clearly been studying the Zanari for some time. In space, the Valiant was executing complex evasion patterns, staying just out of the Zanari cruiser's weapons range. Captain Lavara received a coded message on her private channel. "Extraction team has the package." "Repeat, they have the package." "Begin withdrawal sequence." Lavra allowed herself a small smile before turning to her crew. "Phase 2 begins now. Prepare for quantum jump." The Valiant suddenly accelerated, seeming to flee from the Zanari ships. The aliens followed, thinking they had scared off the human vessel. What they didn't realize was that they were being led away from the sector where the quantum submarines were operating, back at the Zanari base. Steve's team reached their extraction point. A small maintenance airlock stood before them, exactly where the plans had said it would be. "Submarine 1, we are at Extraction Point Alpha," Steve reported. "Ready for pickup." "Copy that, team leader," came Rodriguez's voice. "Docking in 30 seconds. As they waited, Olivia turned to Steve. "How did you find me so quickly? The Zanari base is hidden." Steve smiled. "We've known about this base for years. Earth has been mapping Zanari territory since we first detected their scout ships near our colonies. We just never let them know." "We were watching," Olivia nodded, understanding dawning. "They thought they were studying us, but we were studying them too." "Exactly," Steve replied. "The Zanari thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had just reached the stars. They had no idea Earth has been preparing for this exact scenario for decades." The airlock door opened, revealing the sleek form of the quantum submarine. "Docked outside?" As they boarded the vessel, Olivia took one last look at the Zanari base. Soon the aliens would discover she was gone, and with her, many of their secrets. The submarine detached from the base and shifted partially out of normal space. Becoming invisible to Zanari sensors, the rescue was complete. Now it was time for Earth to show the Zanari exactly what they were dealing with. Vexor regained consciousness slowly. His head hurt, and his vision was blurry. The command center was in chaos. Alarms blared as Zanari officers rushed from station to station. "Commander, are you injured?" asked his second-in-command, helping him to his feet. "The human," Vexor said, his voice hoarse. "Where is she?" "Gone. The intruders took her. They disappeared from our sensors completely." Vexor slammed his fist against the wall. "Impossible. No species has stealth technology that advanced." "There's more, Commander," the officer said nervously. Our patrol ships report that the human vessel they were chasing has vanished. It simply disappeared from space. Vexar moved to the main control panel. Something was very wrong. The humans had technology far beyond what the Zanari thought possible. As he checked the base's systems, a new alarm sounded. Multiple unknown vessels appearing throughout our territory, reported the sensor operator. They're everywhere. The main screen lit up with dozens of signals. Human ships were appearing near every major Zanari installation. They weren't hiding anymore. They wanted the Zanari to see them. How is this possible? Vexar whispered. Where did they come from? The answer was both simple and shocking. The ships had been there all along, disguised as asteroids, mining stations, and space debris. For years, Earth had been quietly positioning its fleet throughout Zanari space, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. That moment had come. On the quantum submarine, Olivia sat in the medical bay as a doctor checked her for injuries. Despite her ordeal, she was in good condition. The Zanari had not harmed her physically. Commander Rodriguez wants to see you, the doctor said, finishing his examination. You're clear to move around the ship. Olivia made her way to the bridge. Through the viewports, she could see stars streaking by as the submarine traveled through space at incredible speed. Commander Rodriguez greeted her with a warm smile. Glad to have you back, Hayes, Rodriguez said. How are you feeling? Ready. To get back to work, Olivia replied. What's happening now? Rodriguez led her to a large display screen. Operation Scattered Thunder is in full effect. Earth ships are decloaking throughout Zanari space. We're showing them exactly what they're dealing with. The screen showed dozens of Earth vessels appearing near Zanari planets, moons, and space stations. The ships were not firing weapons or making aggressive moves. They were simply making their presence known. Admiral Nelson is about to address the Zanari High Council, Rodriguez explained. We're patching in now. The screen changed to show Admiral Nelson standing on the bridge of his command ship. His face was serious but calm. This message is for the leaders of the Zanari Imperium, Nelson began. For decades, your people have observed Earth and its colonies. You have studied us, tested us, and recently you captured one of our explorers. You believed you were dealing with a primitive, disorganized species. You were wrong. The image pulled back to show the massive Earth fleet surrounding key Zanari installations. As you can now see, Earth has been aware of your presence for many years. We have mapped your territory, studied your technology, and prepared appropriate responses to any aggression. The ships you now detect have been in position for a long time, waiting and watching. Nelson's voice remained measured and calm. We are not your enemies unless you choose to make us so. Commander Hayes has been recovered safely. There need be no further conflict between our peoples. The Admiral paused, letting his words sink in. To demonstrate our knowledge of your civilization, we are transmitting the exact coordinates of every Zanari hidden base, outpost, and colony that we have identified. This information has been gathered over decades of careful observation. In the Zanari Command Center, Vexar watched in shock as the screens displayed a complete map of the Imperium's secret installations. The humans knew everything bases the Zanari thought were completely hidden, technologies they believed were their secret advantage. This is not a threat, Nelson continued. It is an invitation to peaceful relations between our civilizations. Earth respects the sovereignty of the Zanari Imperium. We ask only that you respect ours in return, the transmission ended. Vexar stood in silence, trying to process what had happened. The Zanari had severely underestimated humanity. What they thought was a simple capture mission had revealed a powerful, technologically advanced civilization that had been hiding its true capabilities. 3 days later, Olivia stood before the Earth Defense Council, giving her full report on the Zanari encounter. Admiral Nelson and the Joint Chiefs listened carefully as she described the aliens' technology, biology, and military capabilities. Based on my observations, the Zanari are not inherently hostile, Olivia concluded. They were acting out of fear. They saw our expansion as a potential threat and wanted to assess our capabilities before we became too powerful. "And what is your assessment of their current state of mind?" asked General Wilson. "They're shocked," Olivia replied. "They thought they were studying a primitive species, only to discover we've been 10 steps ahead of them the whole time. They're reevaluating everything they thought they knew about humans." Nelson nodded. "The Zenari High Council has sent a preliminary communication. They're requesting formal diplomatic talks. They're also asking how we developed quantum shifting technology," added General Peters. "They thought they were the only ones who had that capability," Olivia smiled. "What did you tell them?" "The truth," Nelson said. "That humans are very good at watching, learning, and adapting. We observed their early experiments with quantum physics 50 years ago and developed our own version." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Earth had passed a crucial test. For the first time, a potentially hostile alien civilization had directly challenged humanity, and humanity had responded, with overwhelming evidence of preparation and strength. "The Zenari will spread the word to other species," General Wilson said finally. "This changes our position in the galactic community." "For the better, I hope," Olivia said. Nelson stood up, ending the meeting. "Commander Hayes, once you've fully recovered, we'd like you to join the diplomatic team that will meet with the Zenari. Your first-hand experience with them will be valuable," Olivia nodded. "I'd be honored, sir." As she left the council chamber, Olivia looked out a window at the Earth below. From space it looked peaceful and vulnerable. But she knew better. Behind that peaceful appearance was a world united in its determination to protect its people. No matter the distance, no matter the odds, the Zenari had believed she had no backup when they captured her on that distant planet. They had been wrong. Earth had been ready all along, silently watching, preparing, and waiting for the moment to reveal its true strength, and now the stars would never look quite the same again. Year 2157, Admiral William Carter stood at the viewing window of Earth Station 1. He watched as ships from a dozen alien species moved through the busy space lanes. 30 years of peace had changed humanity. Earth was now part of something bigger, the Galactic Council. William sighed as he turned to face the meeting room. His blue uniform was decorated with medals that told of his long service. At 62, he had hoped to retire soon. Those hopes would have to wait. The attack came without warning, said General Frank Doyle, pointing to the glowing map. 3 human colony worlds blinked red. New Montana, Harmony, and Titan's Hope all hit within 6 hours. Casualties? William asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 80,000 confirmed dead. Maybe twice that number injured? Catherine Green, the youngest of Earth's 4 top generals, spoke with a tight voice. Her dark skin looked ashen under the harsh lights. The Draconians hit civilian centers first. Richard Harris, the 4th member of Earth's military command, slammed his fist on the table. "This is an act of war. We need to respond now." William nodded slowly. The Draconians were new to the galactic scene. No one knew much about them, except that they came from the Outer Rim and had joined the Council just 3 years ago. "The Council has called an emergency session," William said. "Ambassador Miller is already on her way to present our case." "And if they vote for continued dialogue again?" Richard asked. William's face hardened. "Then we act anyway. I won't let another colony world burn while we talk." 12 hours later, Susan Miller stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was massive, with seats for representatives of over 60 species. The oldest and most powerful races sat closest to the center, the ancient Jarians, the telepathic Ilarians, and the machine-minded Vox Collective. Susan was a tall woman with gray-streaked hair and the stern look of someone used to hard negotiations. "Esteemed council members," she began, "Earth comes before you today seeking justice. The unprovoked attack on our colonies by the Draconian Empire cannot go unanswered." The Draconian representative, a tall reptilian being with golden scales, hissed, "We deny these false accusations. Perhaps your colonies were attacked by pirates." Or perhaps Earth itself staged these attacks to justify military expansion. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Susan kept her composure. We have sensor data and survivor testimonies. The ships were draconian military vessels. Evidence can be faked, said the Jarian Grand Counselor. His name was Vex, and his species had been among the founders of the Council 10,000 years ago. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of disbelief in Jarian body language. Susan uploaded the data anyway. Images of draconian warships firing on civilian targets played on the central display. This is not faked, she said firmly. The council watched in silence. When the images ended, Susan expected outrage. Instead, she saw many representatives looking away, unwilling to meet her eyes. The council will vote on a response, Vex announced. Susan knew then that something was wrong. She sent a quick message to her deputy, Daniel Wright. Find out who's been talking to the Draconians privately. The vote was 42-19 against military action. Instead, the council would continue dialogue with all parties. Susan stood in shocked silence as representatives began filing out. Daniel rushed to her side. I found something, he whispered. 6 of the major council races have signed secret non-aggression pacts with the Draconians in the past month. They're trading human territory for their own safety. Susan felt cold anger rise within her. We need to warn Earth. Admiral Carter needs to know the Council has betrayed us. Back on Earth, William Carter received the news with grim determination. Deploy the fleet to defensive positions around our remaining colonies, he ordered. All ships, combat-ready status. The Council explicitly voted against military action, his aide reminded him. I'm not attacking. I'm defending what's ours. William looked at the 3 generals who had been with him through countless crises. If this goes badly, I'll take full responsibility. Frank nodded. We're with you, Bill, always have been. Within hours, Earth ships moved to protect the human worlds. None crossed into Draconian space. None fired unless fired upon. It was a purely defensive operation. It didn't matter. 3 days later, a Council peacekeeping fleet surrounded Earth Station 1. The message was clear. Stand down or face consequences. William sent his response. Earth forces will remain in position to protect our citizens. We have not violated Council space. We have not initiated hostilities. The next day, Council security forces boarded the station. They arrested William Carter, Frank Doyle, Catherine Green, and Richard Harris for actions contrary to galactic peace and security. The trial was a mockery of justice. Held on the Jorian homeworld, it allowed no defense witnesses. When Daniel Wright tried to present evidence of the secret pacts, the council judges muted his feed. This tribunal finds the accused guilty, Vex announced after just 6 hours. The sentence is death, to be carried out immediately as a necessary example to all who would defy council authority. The human delegation erupted in protests. Susan Miller shouted that this was illegal under council law. Guards removed them from the chamber. On Earth, President Lavra Shepard watched in horror as the broadcast began. The council had chosen to make this public a lesson to everyone. The 4 human leaders stood on a platform. Council guards placed nooses around their necks. There was no hood, no last meal, no final words. This was meant to humiliate as much as to kill. William Carter stood tall. He looked directly into the camera. His last act was to wink, a signal to those who knew what it meant. The floor dropped. 4 bodies fell. The camera lingered on them as they swung gently in the alien breeze. Across Earth and her colonies, people watched in stunned silence. Then the rage began to build. In the secure command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Shepard turned to her remaining military leaders. Her face was wet with tears, but her voice was steady. They've made their choice, she said quietly. Now we make ours. She pressed her palm to the scanner on the table. Activate Protocol 0. Vice Admiral Carolyn Bennett, now Earth's highest-ranking military officer, nodded grimly. Yes, Madam President. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities began to power up. Ships no one knew existed moved out of concealed docks. weapons the Council had never seen prepared to fire. Earth had been playing by the rules. Now the rules had changed,